Just imagine how good we're both going to look in high def. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another amazing episode of Keeping It Real. We've got our special guest in the house, return appearance. First one-on-one, though, for our friend Jasin Quimby. Jasin, how are you, my friend?
Chuck Allen, just got to tell you, I've had a good hair day all day today.
Me too.
Yes.
Looking good, freshly shorn.
You can't see me running around the office, but I'm more aerodynamic than most of the guys here.
Yeah, me too, actually, for other reasons. But yeah, that's a well-known fact for sure. So anyways, where are you coming at us at today? You're down in the Sunshine State, right?
I am. I'm in New Smyrna Beach at our headquarters office in sunny 105 Florida, which is cold compared to Texas from what I'm hearing.
Yeah, it's an interesting time to be alive, right? Go outside, get cooked, come back inside and say, what the heck's going on out there?
Oh, my goodness. Absolutely.
It's a thing of beauty. So since the last time you were on here, there has been some pretty big changes in life. You just mentioned being at your office. Obviously, there are multiple offices if this is just your New Smyrna office. So tell us a little bit about what's going on. I know you made a huge jump a couple months ago and have become a hugely important individual in the world and someone that's looked up to even more than you were before, if that's even possible. Tell us a little bit about your adventure, my friend.
I left my last company after 4 years, I think. We only did commercial claims. And I had an awesome opportunity that I thought was best for my family. I got made partner over here at Coastal Claims. And I'm operationally in the sales division. So I'm the president of sales. And there's a handful of partners of us that are trying to grow our company across the country. So I've been really, really honestly blessed to have this opportunity. So we just opened up an office 2 weeks ago in Pennsylvania, and then 2 months ago in Dallas. We have one coming in Nashville here soon. We have another office in Indiana Atlantic, Tampa, maybe Colorado. So we have these growth going in the hot pockets of the United States that we can make the biggest impact. So I'm excited about that.
I love it. It's awesome seeing people grow and develop. And you invited me to the one in Dallas, and I have to say we had a great time. I came down, Eric from our Tyler office as well. It was a good time for sure. It was definitely worth the afternoon drive to go down, and we appreciate the invite because that was a pretty exclusive group. I didn't see a whole bunch of people there, so I felt pretty honored.
Yeah, it's not by the. I mean, let's be honest. The whole point of those is to shake hands and actually have conversations with people that are in the industry who want to help each other out. So it was a perfect turnout. We had some really, really influential people there that really gave a shit. So your boy Eric won the top prize that day.
He did, and whether it was deserved or not, I don't know. I had a conspiracy theory, and I'll run this by you real quick here and Keeping It Real because it's my show and I can have these theories. I think that what happened was y'all were trying to draw my name and just happened to see the Rio Blanco logo and accidentally grabbed the wrong one. But at that point, it was too late because it's like, well, if we put it back, they're going to know that we're, maybe not on the up and up. So I feel like Eric was just, he was the benefactor of my awesome logo and the fact that I got him these amazing business cards that look exactly like mine. So I don't know if there's any truth to that, but Eric did have the big win. And I think he went up to DFW and enjoyed that. So
oh, he did.
Always
okay,
cool.
good.
Always
Good
cool. We know how to eat at the fine establishments, and Perry's is one of the best. So.
Yes, yeah. So we almost considered that prize not for Eric, but that was for his wife. He deserved it to give to his wife. So.
And she deserved it for the years of just living with Eric. Wonderful guy. We love him to death. So anyways, that's not what we're here for today. We are here today because you and I were just chatting about something pretty cool. And I wanted to just bring it onto camera. So tell us a little bit about what we were just talking about, because I think you were explaining this eloquently and you were kind of making me out to be a little bit more important than I maybe am in real life, but far be it for me to stop that from happening. So
in the last few days or weeks, but I know frequently, there are some roofing expos, there's some roofing get-togethers where there's learning opportunities for contractors, PAs across the country and in the industry. And I see and feel constantly all the time, it's the same challenges these contractors or business owners are having. And I've spent the last 10 years working with business owners, usually solving the same challenges. right? So I kind of little dig deeper all the time when I'm asking questions to these contractors or business owners. And I basically say, why can't you keep employees? What is the trigger that you're constantly losing, recruiting, wasting training dollars, and having a little ROI on that investment over and over and over again? And then it usually comes down to personality types or traits or characteristics within the organization where there's obviously a lot of struggles retaining employees. Because I feel in this industry, there's a lot of fluff and bullshit with you can make $250,000 a year selling roofs just to get them in the door, which I believe is effective for 60 days, 90 days, when they realize this is going to take work, a lot of effort, a lot of networking and paying your dues. The learning curve is there. And guess what? They only made $50,000. Now they're pissed because you didn't make $250,000.
Yeah.
So what do? They quit and they go to the grass is greener across the street to their competitors. And now their competitor gets a trained employee because the original contractor who trained him and taught him had false expectations. So part of one of my little missions, I feel like for the next at least a year, is to kind of really instill the methodology of purpose over profits, right? So the purpose is, why are your staff there? Why do you hire them? And the answer is pretty obviously to help support your organization, to grow businesses, have jobs that people can feed their families. And let's be honest, all of us that are in this industry spend more time with our work family than we do our real family.
Absolutely.
So why are you not taking care of your staff? Why do you not have a cultural environment where they feel like you give a shit every day you show up? And that disconnect has constantly happened, and there's wasted millions of dollars in training dollars every day. So this is something I dig into to the why and hows when I had these one-on-ones with contractors or business owners. And it's just, I don't know, something we all say, but not everybody does, which is that accountability conversation within ourselves. If I own a roofing company and that sales guy fails 4 out of 5 reasons, it's my fault. It should be my fault. I should not have hired him in the first place. So you're going to have to suck up ego and admit that you're wrong. You shouldn't have done it. You didn't give them the tools, resources, or training or expectations for them to be successful. All of those are your fault if they fail. Do they have everything they need to be successful? If not, that's your fault. And the fifth area that could possibly be a fault of why they quit or get fired or don't make it is work ethic. You can't control that. That's the only thing you can't control out of another individual. So as long as you're being honest, communicate, and set expectations, it's your fault moving forward why these guys fail. And most owners don't take that approach. They look at, I know what works, copy, paste. If you don't like it, get out. You know, when there's so many other opportunities there. I'll give you a quick insight of an example. When we bring on a PA admin or somebody in our company and we know they're hired and we say to them, hey, congratulations, you have the job at Coastal Claims. Let me ask you a question. Who do you work for? That's my first question. After we officially hired them, who do you work for? And typically they look at me weird and say, you? Coastal? And I go, no, you're working for your wife and your kid. They are now part of our responsibility to make sure your wife and kid are getting taken care of. That's why we're in this business together. And that disconnect, I feel like, is a bigger issue than most people talk about.
I think it's a huge issue, and it's one that I'm dealing with right now. As a matter of fact, I mean, we had to kind of reconfigure the way that we were doing things, and my managers and I sat down and discussed that. And the truth of the matter is, what we were guilty of doing, we're all in sales, and unknowingly, everything we talk about is somehow related to that. We can sell the daylights out of our company, right? Like Rio Blanco Roofing is the best roofing company on the face of the earth. I can say that with no hesitation. I don't even flinch when I say it because it is true and I believe it. But you're right. I can tell people how great my company is and why you want to work here, and we're a family and we're this and that. And the old, you can make 6 figures. But we just kept having to start over, and we'd get some going and then the momentum would die. Someone would come in, momentum would die. So that is definitely something that I have acknowledged. We've taken huge drastic steps and swings to change it. And the culture is completely changed. But, my thought on it is also that it's what you're willing to accept. It's the level that you're willing to accept the absolute lowest standard that you're willing to accept is the best you can get, right? So
true.
I had to acknowledge to myself over the weekend in a meeting with one of my partners that I kind of let the standards go a little bit lower than I'd like. And I'm, it's human nature. You want to blame other people for stuff going wrong, and you want to think that your efforts equal, a little bit of immunity. But the fact is, if you're the person at the top, you're the one that's got to be responsible, and you've got to accept the fact that I let the standard go. So acceptance, I think, is the first step to recovery. Like they say, you admit you've got a problem, and then we take the steps to resolve those issues. So you work with a ton of different roofing companies and a ton of different people that have this very issue. What's the best way to resolve this, or what are some steps that we can take to improve that, and keep people on our teams that are gonna be able to take advantage of the opportunity rather than coming in and trying to get whatever your sign-on bonus is and being gone in a month?
Yep. So let me show you what I have written on my cell phone. You just said something. I literally made a note in my phone that I'm going to bring up Friday in our weekly meeting. We have a meeting every Friday with the whole company, Zoom meetings. We don't care we're in the company. And it's just an opportunity for all of us to be on the same page. We're constantly trying to improve. We give accolades out. We give pats on the back. We're just saying, great job. Somebody got a new license. So it's an opportunity for our company culture to have this conversation every week. And so I'm always constantly writing down notes. I just heard this morning, and the fact that you basically repeated it would be the first step how to improve company culture. And
All
it
right.
is this right here. Here it is. The quote is, if you don't live it, you won't believe it. So the fact that you say and feel and believe and you live Rio's the best, the rest of the culture is going to start going, well, maybe there is some truth to this. He believes it with such conviction. There might be a possibility they are the best. And then by default, the culture will start creating people who will bleed blue and green. Right?
Absolutely.
That'd be the first step.
Yep. I love that. And it's true. It's Ed Milet. I mean, I heard him a few years ago, and I've seen him several times since, but that's what he said, you have to be evangelical about it. And that's one thing I will give myself credit for, to an extreme. I'm pretty evangelical about the fact that I think I've got the best company on the planet and that my team is the best. So that core belief is the first thing that you need. And if you want people that are going to stay with you during hard times or when it's lean, the Rio Blanco story is that it was out of business when we got it. We resurrected a dead brand.
Right.
Takes some time. You don't just get a whole bunch of leads coming in the door. So the people that you bring on, you want to make sure are going to be the ones that are going to stay with you, that are going to be loyal, that, you're going to put that time and energy into. And then, continuing to find that as you expand and grow the company into different branches and different, we're doing solar now. We've got all kinds of other things going on. It's tough. So I think being evangelical is the one thing I can do. When I was brought on as the owner of this company, that was what I was told my responsibility is I'm like Don King. I have to be the guy that promotes it. And I take that very seriously because it is my livelihood.
Yeah.
But there's also I don't want to say a shortage because it makes me sound like I'm boasting or whatever, but not everybody's like that. I mean, I'm a little bit different. I understand it. I'm different, unique. So what do we do to get that culture where people that may not be so crazy about it, or, it's a job, get that feeling of being a part of something bigger? They get to be a part of a family. What do you do over at Coastal to bring that culture out to your teams?
So we have 4 core values. We talk about them almost every Friday in some application. I also am very conscious. I'll talk to the management team, the leadership team, and basically say, hey, do you know of anybody who did something that represented one of our core values? Do you know anybody who went up and beyond, wowed a client or customer that said, this represents us? So because we echo and talk about it every week, we live it, so we all believe it. And what happens is by default, when the new person comes in, they see 60, 70 people who live and breathe these core values. And our first one is family first. Frank Dalton lives and dies by a family first. He does not play around. It is absolutely so essential to the foundation of why are we killing ourselves every week? So you can take care of your family. So if you make money, go spend time with them. Make it count, right? And that's part of the purpose of why we're doing what we're doing is I'm going to have good times and hard times. But is your purpose at your company or your mission or your path or in your career, is your purpose so strong when you have those bad weeks, they stay loyal, right? Because there will be tough weeks. You're going to be putting fires out all week. You're going to get your ass kicked. And if you're in an environment where everyone feels and understands, we all have those weeks, I got your back. Here's what we're going to do about it together, where you don't have everybody on their only islands just trying to fend for themselves. If you can create an environment where everyone's like, dude, I'm on a team. They got my back. If I can't close this deal, I can bring in 3 of my people to get this done and not feel embarrassed that you have to ask for help, right? You almost nurture that, ask for help. We're in this together. And so I always tell sales reps, if you want to close more deals, you have to be able to build trust. How do you build trust? And the answer is consistency. So if you want to have a culture-driven environment, you need to be consistent. You have to believe it, and you have to live by it. So much so, they trust you when you do go into new directions and you make changes. And there's almost like the highest value of currency in the world is trust. You can't pay for it. And if you've earned it, there's almost nothing more valuable.
That's for sure. And it's very easy to lose too. Just, just one slip up and you can lose 20, 30 years of your life that you've worked. So I appreciate that big time.
Yeah. There's probably 20 other ways that you can help bond your team grow the natural environment. And I'd like to say organically, there's been some really amazing conferences I've been to. We had some of our team over in Texas at a very, very big contractor over there, and they were having their award, banquet for their staff. 3 of our guys came away with that because we're representing them on some claims. And they said that was probably one of the best environments of company culture. And this is one of the top 10 companies in the country. And he goes, top to bottom, it was professional. It was fun. Everyone cared and you felt it. You left the room. Everybody wanted to be there, not because they had to be there. And he goes, that's something you can't fake, right? And I usually say in my classes, everybody in the world you'll ever meet is in one way or another in sales. Nobody can make money unless there's a sale being taking place somewhere in some capacity, right?
Absolutely.
It might not be you, but your company has to have a sale in some transactional way, right? So I always say, why do you talk to these homeowners or business, other people in your community, as if they don't know what a sales pitch sounds like or feels like, right? Why would you assume they don't smell a cheap sales car pitch coming at you, right? So if we're having these honest conversations, just be yourself, be consistent, and just be transparent of what your goals are here and how you're going to really solve problems they may or not even know exist.
It's that simple. You just explained how to be successful in life, not just in business, but it's so true though. We bring people into our organization. I'll give you a great example, Jason. The other day we got a brand new sales rep that came in. He had 0 experience. He was a DJ here locally in town, very big name, does a lot of big events, but he didn't know anything about roofing. Comes in and he starts doing our training platform, starts learning things. He's actually doing a roof today, but 2 weeks ago, we got his first deal and it was just 100% based on just building that trust, building that credibility and being consistent with the homeowners. And what was cool about our homeowners, they were elderly. They were both in their mid 80s. They've been married for like 65 years. Just the salt of the earth type people that they're going to tell you, when you get to a certain point in life, you can see through people's bullshit and you're more than happy to say it,
Sure.
It's almost like a rite of passage. As you continue to grow, your filter starts to shrink. So we had these folks and they were wonderful. I absolutely loved it. But, Anthony was kind of worried because it was his first real sales presentation. He's doing all this. And we come to find out that for what we were doing, there was another company that they had talked to, and we were about $3,500 more. And I said, well, we're going to get the deal because we're still going over there. If they're going to go with the other guy, they would have just told us not to come. And we went over and said, here's our price. Here it is. And they couldn't sign the deal fast enough. And she said, well, it's because we trust you guys. You guys showed up when you said you were. You came over, you tarped our roof up. So we were protected during the heavy rains that came. When the insurance guy came out, you were there. You took care of all this stuff. And at that point, it's amazing the scarcity versus the abundance mindsets. But I tell people, if you earn trust and people buy with emotion, we all know that if you can get that, then you can almost name your price. You don't have
Yep.
to be the contractor that's fighting for the bottom number anymore. You can be $3,500 higher than the
Mhm.
I'll say one of the most well-known people in San Antonio. And we took him to the cleaner. So I like that. I like being consistent. I like setting expectations and then exceeding those, right?
Yep.
Don't ever put your expectations so high with someone that they lose interest, or that they don't think you can uphold what you're saying. And that's the same thing with what we were talking about with employees. You
Yep.
got to set those proper expectations, and that's a lesson we're still learning daily. We're getting better, though. I can assure you that. I've got some really, really badass people on my team, and we got rid of a few that weren't pulling their weight. We're going to bring some more on, and that's what I'm trying to build right here is my culture. I want people that are willing to walk through the wall with me, and I know I've got that right now. And it's now up to all of us as a group to continue to build those pieces together and make sure that we, keep our vision going forward. And like I say, our purpose is, it's got nothing to do with roofing. It's got nothing to do with going and nailing shingles on people's houses. It's a much greater purpose. I was put here to help people, and this just happens to be the vehicle that I got. So
Yep.
I like it. I like it a lot.
Well, I've seen your guys' transformation, and this is the kind of way I will always be a fan of you and Rio, because you guys' hearts are always in the right place. You guys put your people first every time. So it's just, how can you not want to cheer for that?
Right.
So this is kind of where, you have a bigger fan base than you probably realize, just because you stand behind your word. Right. So here's my other question I got for you in regards to the company culture. Do you know what the ABCs of good business are?
I mean, the ABCs of good business, I would suppose, is always be closing, but probably not. You're not going to get too far in business if you're not closing. But no, I don't. Tell me a little bit about this.
So back to the company culture from the top down leadership management hierarchy, the ABCs should be kind of written like this, or they should be practiced this way. Always be coaching, but more importantly, always be coachable. And in that cycle, two things are happening. You're letting your team know, I don't know everything, and I'm always going to be a student the rest of my life, because I want to always have self-improvement. I will never act like I know it all. And if I do, punch me in the throat. But so all the new things that you're constantly learning, you get to take your team to the next level, right? They will become conditioned at a certain point to say, I want to be better. And then they will start learning things on their own and then adding value to the next generation of your team. So the experience level and ROI in that initial group will become 10 times that. Once they become educated, they can teach the next generation. And the power of that culture growth is huge. And it's a good investment for the company to instill that kind of practice.
I agree. And I definitely see that here with my team. It makes me very proud to hear you say that, because I'm sitting there thinking, man, that's what we've got going on. I see my guys that I bring in and I spend my time with, and I teach them, because I see potential in people, and not everybody, makes it to the end. That's for sure. But the ones that do, you see them and you continue to develop. And now it's like, man, my guys that I started this with are now teaching the guys that they've hired and brought into the company. And it's the coolest thing, because, what I taught actually worked. And like you said, they bought into it and understand, hey, this is legit. It's not an overnight success story. It's not going to be. But when we put the work in, we know at the end of that tunnel, there's going to be a huge bright light, and we're all going to be laughing when we get there. But for me, the most important thing to remember is just to enjoy it by the day, enjoy the journey. It was Ben Menchaca, and I don't know if you know Ben or not. He just recently left us, but he was a super guy, and he was on Keepin' It Real a few months ago. And the one thing he said that really stuck with me was fall in love with the process, not the result.
Yeah.
And to me, that was so profound. And it was like, man, I never thought of it really like that, I guess, in that simple broken down term. But we try to have fun every day. If you don't, you're never going to get tomorrow back. If I had a crappy ass day yesterday, that's it. I can't go back and make it better. I can make today as good as I can. We can have as much fun as we can possibly have today because there's no guarantee of tomorrow either. So
Yep.
it's pretty cool. And I love the fact that we live by that, that mindset where we want to help each other be better. We want to grow the company. We want to develop as people. We want to put on roofs. Absolutely. Because that's helping the folks that need our help the most, which, when you've got an 85-year-old couple that are calling you because their roof's leaking because they were taken advantage of by a guy.
Mm-hmm.
That's why we go out. I don't do this for a paycheck. I joked a couple weeks ago and said if I really wanted to make all the money, I just would have stayed as a salesman. But I'm here. I love being the leader. I love seeing the people that we've helped develop start developing the next level. And I'm about one level away from not having to do any of this stuff anymore and getting to just really step back and watch and enjoy it. And we'll see. I hope I get to that point, but I don't know that I'll be able to cope with it. Honestly, I need something to do at all times.
Yeah, I don't ever want to retire because I have to. I want to retire because I want to, and I just want to stay busy, right? I want to have a purpose the rest of my life. I've seen people who retire and they lose their purpose of living. So, if you have an impact on generations, it gives you a reason knowing that, you're here for a reason, right? I just wanted to add a couple other things, something that we talk about on our Friday culture meetings. And Frank will bring it up. Hey guys, we're reading this book called Never Split the Difference. So as an organization, we talk about books and how it's relative to business and their personal lives, because we feel that if you're happy at home, you're happy at work. So family first, we know what'll happen with the company. So we talk about these books and what's the next one we're going to talk about next. And we kind of get excited about what are those areas that we can, as a team, grow together, having the same language, right? So in the same breath, Frank, the owner, comes up to me and says, Jason, I want to do a Coastal Cares health incentive. And I go, what do you mean? He goes, I will pay my employees $100 if they literally go to the gym 4 days a week for 15, 20 minutes. I don't care. We have a really nice gym at our property here.
Yeah,
so he's invested a lot of money. And I go, why? Right? He goes, I want them to be happy. I wasn't expecting that answer. But that is just something that everyone here understands. We have a gym. You can go to your own gym down the road if you want. We want to incentivize you to be happy with yourself on a personal level in conjunction with work, right? So that's just part of that consistency of talking about what we want to do to improve ourselves. We do it every day. We do it every week.
Yep. And that's all you need to do, really. Like I said, consistency. It's dedication and it's discipline, because there are days that you don't want to get up and you don't want to do this stuff. I myself, when we started Rio in 2019, I went on a little bit of a eating binge, and I ballooned up to like about 85 pounds more than I am right now. And what happened was I started looking in the mirror and was like, damn, what the hell's going on with you, dude? Like, this isn't who you are. But I also realized that me being lazy and me being not as motivated and as energetic, it affects everybody. I get that my responsibility and my role with my company is that I have to be the energy. I have to be the leader. I have to be the dude that walks in the door and just, let's go. And I couldn't do it. So I made a commitment to myself to start trying to lose some weight, and it definitely worked. It made my entire outlook on life different. But, happiness would certainly be, I'd say, the key to that. I mean, I was very, 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 I wouldn't say like depressed or upset, but I wasn't myself. I can outwardly be energetic, but I get home and I live on the third floor and it's like, shit, man, I got to walk up the steps to get to my damn door. And that's never been me. So I want to lead from the front, and I've started that fitness journey. And it's crazy because I look at everybody in my company now. We've got a gym over at the ASAP office, and we've got young guys that go in there with Joseph, my partner over there, that are showing up at 6:30 every single morning. They're working out before they go to work. We've got people in our company that are just, committed 100%. Jeremy's out playing tennis, and everybody sees it, and it's contagious because it's like, you know what? I can tell the difference in you. I can tell that you feel better. I can tell you've got more energy, and I want that too. So again, it's a very serious responsibility. I take it extremely seriously, but I'm kind of proud that I can be the catalyst for that. And I actually had a rep from Tamco come in here earlier. Oh, I'd say maybe 2 hours or so ago before we went to lunch. And he randomly sent me a text last week. And it's kind of cool because I get those on occasion. And I hadn't seen our Tamco rep in probably, I don't know, well over a year. I don't sell Tamco products, so I don't have a huge relationship here in this market. But I just got a random text last week and it was like, hey, this is Brandon from Tamco. I want you to know that I saw your fitness journey on Facebook and you inspired me. I'm going to lose 40 pounds or whatever. And it's like, cool, man. You know, if I can help somebody do that, or just me just trying to be better for myself can do that for someone, that's my purpose, you know. And we talk about purpose over profit. My purpose is to help people be better. It's to help people do things that they didn't know they were capable of doing and achieve goals that they didn't even think of. So I'm very proud of the fact that I get to do that. And I take a lot of pride in that. I love when I get reps that I work with across the country that send me the picture with their first signed contract, or, you know, that say, hey, I tried what you said and it worked. And that's what we're here for, right? Purpose is definitely greater than profit for me. There's a joke in there, I'm sure, somewhere that the accountant probably wouldn't be laughing as much as I am, but it is what it is. We're here to lead. We're here to help people. And that's what you're doing too. You know, your business is helping people that are in need, that are being taken advantage of, or maybe not understanding their rights. And I think it's respectable. We don't all get the greatest, you know, from the public. Somehow we get painted as the bad guys sometimes, but the truth of the matter is we're the good ones and we're the ones that are doing it. And I love it.
So let me give you a pat on the back,
All
but
right.
making fun of most of the contractors out there at the same time.
I'm down with that.
So I usually ask this question if I'm doing a presentation. I usually ask like a room of specific contractors in a state. Let's just make fun of Texas. And I kind of present it this way. Would you guys agree 50% of the contractors in Texas are douchebags?
No.
No?
It's at least 75.
That's what everybody says. Everyone says way more than that, right? So then I say, great, we're on the same page then. We understand the market is made up of a majority of people who are selfish. So why should I need to reach out to them if I know I'm not going to really get along with them? Because if I'm going to give you my heart and soul and my company and my sweat time away from my family, I want to do it with somebody I want to go have a beer with, somebody I want to go golfing with, somebody I want to go fishing with. That's the guy I want to get in business with. So we kind of really set our standard when we were talking about your standards earlier about who do I want to go in business with? Who would I want to hang out with and talk when the cameras aren't rolling, we're not on Facebook, and we're just talking about, I just ran 10 miles today. Those are the guys that I want to do business with, right? So my standard in which we tell everybody here, you don't need to work with everybody. Work with the people you want to get in business with. And it's the easiest way to explain it. I don't need their money, right? And every 9 out of 10 times, because nobody's perfect, we work with contractors. And once they see our process, once they see that we give a shit up and beyond than what we say customer service will be, they feel it. And at that point, they're loyal because they know we'll always be there. I will always answer that phone, even on those tough phone calls. So that is something I would implore to contractors, sales reps. When you're having these conversations and you're building these relationships with property management firms, HOAs, let them know you're consistently going to care, not just to get the deal, right? And they lack education on how to service them. They lack education on what happens if they're upset. Is there a system or process? How you handle that objection, or not even objection, like somebody dropped the ball, there's a miscommunication. Does the rookie sales rep have the same experience as the owner? Nope. So where's that training and customer service on how to maintain and those relationships for the long term, you know?
Absolutely. I think that's the most overlooked aspect of this entire thing. And we talk about that a lot. I don't even know how to explain this industry. It's like literally you can come in and you can start today and you will literally be on your own today out in the field trying to figure out how to do this. And I don't know. It circles back around to why so many people quit. But yeah, you're.
So I just did a training class in Pennsylvania 2 weeks ago. John Senig had his whole class put on, and I had my little time slot, 15 minutes of fame. And then one of the guys engages and says, "But why? Why do contractors do this in this conversation?" And I said, "I have an easy answer. The contractor who's 48 years old has been in this business for 20 years. Where did he learn what he learned? From the guy who was successful in the 80s and 90s. So he's copying what worked without having the evolution of change to improve himself. So now we have a 45, 50-year-old business owner who's copy and pasting the habits and actually, let's just say habits from the 80s and 90s, which don't work anymore, right? So there's this copy and paste through generations. So the education gets passed down, good or bad. So no one who was ever a roofer, who nailed shingles or did sales at 20 years old, who taught them hospitality? Who taught them leadership and management? Because who taught the guy who's teaching them? So there's this huge disconnect on education on actually how to grow your business. And you don't know how to teach your staff because you don't know it yourself. Now, I'm not saying the top 50 companies in the country, they know what they're doing. They get it. But there's a lot of new people that are up and coming that are missing that very important bit of information.
Yeah, I'm probably right there in that boat, and that's one of those conversations you have with yourself after the fact. You're like, all right, Chuck, still got to step it up a little bit, but it's cool. I like being in the, I guess we'll call it the 25% non-douchey. At least I consider myself to be in that. I don't know if the rest of the industry does, but it's pretty fun, and we can make of it what we want, and we can do whatever we want to do with ourselves and our companies. And, I think we're choosing to do what's right. And at the end of the day, there's going to be a day when we look back and say, I didn't make as much money as I probably could have. I probably could have finagled some people or screwed some people over. I just had an example yesterday. I'm pitching a solar deal to a family, and they told me, we were going to use your company, but there's no possible way you could have beat the deal that we got. And I said, nope, you're right. And there's no way I would have even cared to, and I explained to the lady, what happened was fraud, big time, big time. And then I pointed out, you've got a leak at your chimney there. I can't help but notice that the sheetrock is rotten. And she says, well, yeah, I've been calling them for a year to come back, and they don't even return my calls. And I said, oh, really? And then she says, yeah, and the kicker to the whole thing is the guy lives 2 doors down from me. So there you go.
You can always save $20 by getting rid of the cricket.
Yeah, right. To me, it's just insane, but that's what we're up against, And I said, well, if it's too difficult to come down here 2 doors down to fix something that was damaged, what's going to happen if you have a real problem? And I said, you're going to have a real problem because $5,000 was not meant to be rebated on the back end. And maybe I'm going too far in, but I'm not saying any names. It is in San Antonio, Texas, though, and it's someone that's known. But that's the difference between me and them. I turned down a job the other day in College Station because the gentleman was wanting to do things that were a little bit sketchy and told me that so-and-so said they would do it, and there's plenty of roofing companies that would be happy to do this. Cool. I'm going to sleep good tonight knowing that I wasn't one of them, and I wish you the best. And the funny thing is, when you do that, they all want to work with you. Now they want you because I just told you you're not worthy of my service, and nobody wants to be told that. So it can turn pretty quick. You can take something like that and turn it around into a real honest deal pretty quickly. Again, just by being consistent and being trustworthy. It's funny how those two things are really
so simple.
It's all you need. Wow. So few people in this world actually understand that, though, and it's crazy. I don't know.
Have you heard the 3 legs to any sale in the world?
I have somewhat. Let's go ahead and go over for all of our friends who have not.
So I'm going to say your approach to hey, your price is too high. I think your approach is, yeah, you're right, and we're going to stick behind it. I think that is the best approach for sure. It's just when you have sales rep that aren't comfortable having those tough conversations, I always kind of go back to the 3 possible ways to make a decision to buy anything. Yep. And it's price, quality, and service. You get to pick 2. So I say this, not that girls don't work on cars, but every guy knows there's a difference between good quality tools and bad, cheap quality tools. How many people go to Walmart to buy their tools? And then the answer is an emergency, maybe.
Yeah.
So, and it's because you need some quality if you're going to do things that are going to be time consuming. You need the right tools. So why would you not pay a little extra, spend the money behind a product that has good warranty and service? And people don't have a problem spending money on that. The difference in our industry is it's so saturated trying to sell the same shingle. What makes you different? What is your differential? And if you can't ask them, what's more important to you? The dollar you need to spend, by the way, the carrier is going to pay for your roof, just pay for deductible. What's more important to you? A warranty, a product, a service, somebody who lives in the community and cares about your area? Or you just care about price? Because I promise we'll never be the cheapest, ever. And I don't want to be, because we stand behind our stuff and we know that costs money. So, and they'll basically tell you, well, I want good quality product. I want good service. Well, do you go to Walmart for good quality and service? Nope. So I keep referencing Walmart because we know where they are in the economic scale.
Absolutely. Walmart is what it is. You know exactly what you're going to get and what you're going to see.
Walmart's, right? A can of green beans is probably the cheapest place to buy it. It's a can of green beans at that point, right? So when you're comparing apples versus apples, I would always tell everybody, make sure they understand what's important to them, and you're going to solve that.
Yeah. Again, it's so simple. Like, okay, that's it. I don't even have anything to write it down. I don't need to. It's just don't be a douchebag and be honest and do what's right, and you're going to be successful. So I appreciate that. Trying to think. I had some other stuff I wanted to talk about, but nothing really specific. Just two guys chatting on a podcast, really.
There you go.
I appreciate some of the stuff that you guys have been doing. I saw you were taking fitness in a little ways back as well, and you were wearing a weighted vest on a treadmill. What was the story behind Jasin wearing a weighted vest on a treadmill, and what was the cause?
Great question. Daniel Robowski asked me if I wanted to be part of the Stop Soldier Suicide team. So I was like, absolutely, I'm in. What do we got to do? So he's like, you have to march with a rucksack with weight in it for 50 miles. And you have to have it done in like 32 days. So I became inspired by going, my son and family is all military. All my friends are military. So I'm really passionate about supporting that. You know, that the whole place of the military is something dear to my heart. So it's like, I'm in, let's go. So I would get up early before we went to work, and I put 3.1 miles in a day, right? And just kept chipping away at it. And I only posted one video, but obviously I was there every day to make it happen in a short time frame. So it was really cool to be part of something that has nothing to do with this industry. It's just, I'm doing something good for mankind. If it even makes the smallest impact, I showed up. And I did it when I had to sacrifice my sleep for the greater good. So I'm a big fan of the 1% formula. There's some really cool books out there. Probably my favorite one right now is the Atomic Habits mindset on the 1%. So I could pretty much go to any company in the world and say, there are literally 100 moving parts possible to make your industry operate. And if we can improve 1% in each one of those categories, just 1%, we now have improved your company 100%. So most people don't realize if you can just get granular and you can get down to the macros of all the little moving parts and say, can we just move that needle a little bit more efficient for the company, better culture, better happiness, better investment opportunities for us, right? So that 1% rule, I apply to everything that we can to create better habits for each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I read Atomic Habits, and I've got, a whole library of these books that I read, and I get all this stuff in my head. But you're so right. I wake up in the morning and it's like, I don't have competition. The one thing that I forbid anybody in my company from using is that word. I had one guy that used the word competitors on a video like 2 years ago. And I was like, dude, I never want to hear that again, because honestly, we don't have competitors. We're all in this deal. If Mrs. Jones is going to go with so-and-so because she liked them better, that's fine. Mrs. Jones's neighbor is probably going to make the right choice and go with us. And it just, I kind of lost track of my train of thought for a second there, Jasin. I got all wound up there with what
you're giving back to your own community. You're trying to help everybody because there's no competition like you.
Exactly. There's no competition. And I look at myself and it's like, you know what? If I can be better when I go home tonight than I was when I left on my way to work, then it was a win. And if I can get everybody around me to be just a little bit better, like you said, over the course of a year, 365% better, you've more than tripled at your value at that point. And it's just the thing that people have such a hard time with is just maintaining, right? It's easy to get on a fad diet. It's easy to lose 20 or 30 pounds. and then gain 40 of it back, right? To be able to say, hey, look, I did this and I changed the way that my entire life was being run to maintain and facilitate this new life, it does take something, special, I guess, or crazy, and not everybody has it. So to those of us that are up at 5 o'clock in the morning or 4 o'clock doing our gym stuff and doing what we do, that's why we're in the positions we are. That's why you're at Coastal. That's why you're building offices all over the country. That's why Rio Blanco is about to become the #1 solar and roofing company on the face of the earth. Not even about to. I've already done the independent test, and it's already been proven. Rio Blanco is the #1 roofing and solar contractor on the planet. Independent test prove it. I took the test myself, and I voted for us. So it is what it is. I love it. Hey, I just got something
100% 5-star rating.
I just got something pretty cool here while we are live. I'm going to share something with you, my friend. This is a big day in the history of my company, Rio Blanco. We are now rebranding ourselves, and this paperwork just came through. So today I'm going to unveil our brand new Rio Blanco roofing and solar. I don't know if you can even see it.
That's better.
Roofing and solar, ladies and gentlemen, is now official as of today, which is 7/13/22 at 2:43 p.m. I just got the official word, Rio Blanco Roofing and Solar. So now I can clearly say we will be the best roofing and solar company in the world. So I appreciate that. I look forward to working with you, Jason. I'm going to work with you at some point in the near future. We're going to get a job together and we're going to do some cool stuff. You did mention something else before we turn the camera on, which is some events that you guys are doing. You got something pretty crazy coming up for Win the Storm. And I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I'm going to go to Win the Storm now just because of that. I give you my word, I will be there.
I love it. Let's be honest. We're hanging out in Fort Lauderdale. It's not a bad environment.
Never a bad environment. I was just there a couple weeks ago. Lee Haight had his conference down there, and it was amazing. We stayed at the Diplomat. I got to meet Ed Milet, Jocko Willink. I got to meet Best Damn Roofer. He was on my podcast. I don't know if you're familiar with the TV show from back about 15 years ago, the Hardcore Pawn. They had a pawn shop over in Detroit, and it was a guy and his family. They were there. I met the guy from the pawn shop. It was the greatest thing ever.
There you go.
But yeah, that's what I love about our industry. We get to go and have fun, and we get to do it under the guise of work. And I'm looking forward to that because you guys are doing some really cool stuff. It's been awesome. You and I have been friends for now, a couple of years going on, and I appreciate that. I think it's awesome that we can have conversations like this on a Wednesday afternoon. Just say, hey, throw on the podcast and let's bullshit. And it's cool. You guys are part of our family. You were Cheap Pizza. I know Jason is Cheap Pizza from his hometown, and I don't know that about too many other people. So you're a key part of our circle. I appreciate you, everything that you do. I love the positivity that you bring because you send me messages all the time that get me all fired up. And thank you for that. And one of these times we're gonna meet at an event and we're gonna go hang out. We're gonna have a beer. We're gonna talk. And I can't wait for that.
I'll be in Dallas in a few weeks. We'll get together and get our group to hang out.
Yep.
I wanted to touch on something you brought up a second ago. I really want to echo what you said about you don't have competition, right? So part of the behind the scenes at Coastal, and I would say a lot of us, even when we weren't at Coastal and as we're all merging around, all of us believe if we can help improve our industry, right, it'll make our life easier for everybody later. And I'll give you an example. Everyone knows Jack Hanks.
Yep.
What everybody probably doesn't know is Jack Hanks and Frank Dalton from Coastal, they're really good friends. They're constantly trying to help each other, and they're constantly trying to improve the standard in the industry. I've spent time with many new public adjusters, coaching them through the simplest way to how to solve these problems. And then they usually reply with, you're not worried about me getting customers. You're not worried about making me a better competition. And our response is, I'm not insecure about losing customers because I helped you. If I don't get that customer, it's because I didn't deserve it, or maybe they liked you better. I don't care. But I'm going to help the industry across the board. And it's some practice we do behind the scenes from the top down. Everyone really, really, really wants to help the industry. So that's why we're passionate about this.
That's exactly why. I'm the same way. And we love every bit of it. The people that we get to associate with during this crusade to improve our industry is amazing. Just, our podcast here is 1 year old. It's, I guess, 54 weeks now. This is the 54th week. This is going to be, I think, episode 73, maybe 74. It's going to be 74. But this started off as a joke, and we were going to do this a little bit as a live video with my managers and such. And it turned into something really cool where I've got to talk to some of the most amazing people, not just in this industry, but like business in general, life in general. And I mean, I never would have thought that anybody would even want to talk to me about anything. I don't understand it, but I've gotten some amazing people to be on here. And it's like, you know what? We're all friends in the industry and we've all got a common goal. You're never going to find me interviewing someone that's not going to have the best interest of our entire industry on here, because I know a lot of those people and I just won't let them on. This is for the elite people that are going to continue to help and define our legacy through that. And I'm proud to share this industry with you, my friend. You're a good guy. And
appreciate it.
When we're in Dallas, we're going to hang out. I know some cool places over there. So
hit
me up with that and we will take care of it. Before we end the podcast, is there anything else you'd like to share? We've still got a couple minutes, as much as you want. I always try to minimize it to, near an hour, somewhere in that ballpark. So if there's anything else you would like to cover, I am completely open and the slate is clean.
All right, here we go. So typically I ask this question in my public adjusters wanted Facebook group.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just say for conversation, we have like 500-600 public adjusters in there. And I said that Frank and I developed this whole thing, and we have, Jack and Daniel Rabowski. We have all these legit amazing people who are part of this quiet public adjuster little group. And one of the premises, ask any question. There'll be no drama. Everyone was new at some point, and all of us have to have an exposed experience opportunity once. So if you get told the same thing over and over again, you might be a dum-dum. But we have a safe environment to go ask us questions, because if we're not helping each other out, the world doesn't even know what public adjusters really do. They have a perception of what they think they do. And like we talked about bad contractors, there are a lot of bad public adjusters. Absolutely. So it's kind of like our responsibility. If we don't like that standard, what are we doing about it? Right? So I translate that conversation into contractor language, which would be, since we know 75% of the contractors are douchebags, who's going to marry your daughter one day? And who's training that kid to be a real man? Whose responsibility is it? If you as an owner aren't responsible for developing good character, like, just good development for these people who are going to marry somebody's daughter, then it's your fault. Your employees are part of that bad statistic. So we kind of say we have an environment where we can make people better. And same thing in a contractor environment and within your own organization. We feel that if you're not helping coaching these kids become men, somebody's going to marry your daughter and you're going to be pissed because nobody did anything about it. That's my little story of the week.
I like it. And I think that's the perfect way to end our episode. You, my friend, are the man. Thank you for your time today. I can tell that it's sunny over there in Orlando or in Florida. You got the tan going on. I kind of got the Chuck White Crayola color thing going. So I'm a little jealous, but it's always fun. Jasin Quimby, I look forward to meeting up with you in person again very soon. Thank you for being on Keepin' It Rio, for being a fan, and just for being a friend in the industry, man. You're one of the best. And anybody that ever asks for a PA, I think you would see that I recommend you quite frequently. I try to tag you on the Facebook and all that stuff. So I believe in what you guys are doing. And like you say, you work with people that you can relate to, that you trust and you like, and you are at the top of the list. So
love it. I appreciate the love, brother.
All right, my man. I will talk to you again real soon. This is going to go out next Tuesday, and I will do a cover with all the cool stuff like we always do and make it look official. And
I like it.
All right, buddy. Take